Haro Amakawa, a 20-year-old college student from Japan, clings to the cherished memory of his childhood best friend, Miharu Yasi. But fate takes a cruel turn when a bus accident abruptly ends his story, or so it seems. Haro's consciousness awakens in a new world, the kingdom of Beltran, inhabiting the body of a young orphan named Ryo. As the fragments of the two lives converge, Ryo struggles to reconcile Haro's memories of Japan and his own harsh reality. Confusion and belief intertwine, forcing Ryo to confront his past life and the tragedies that shaped his current one. The slums of Beltran are unforgiving. Ryo endures relentless taunts and bullying from the local thugs. He lives with often being kicked out for trivial reasons. With no support or safety, he survives by foraging wild fruits. These moments of solitude trigger vivid memories of his mother in this world, her warmth, her love, and the brutal memory of her murder. While wandering the slums, he encounters a search party led by knights and noblewomen seeking the kidnapped Princess Flora. Among them is Celia Claire, a compassionate and brilliant mage. As they question Ryo about Flora's whereabouts, Celia uses her magic to detect an overwhelming magical potential within him. Though the party doubts Ryo's capabilities, Celia recognizes something extraordinary in him. Before leaving, she gives Ryo a bag of money as a gesture of kindness. When Ryo returns to his dwelling, danger strikes. A knife suddenly pierces the bag of money, narrowly saving Ryo from a fatal wound. As he fights to defend himself, a mysterious self-like figure appears and teaches Ryo how to use magic. Guided by this newfound power, Ryo fortifies his body and turns the tide against his attacker. In the aftermath, Ryo discovers the gang he lived with is slaughtered, and among the chaos, he discovers a frightened and weak Princess Flora. Flora pleads with Ryo to help her escape, and despite the risks, he agrees, carrying her to safety. Ryo heads out to reunite with Celia and the search party. However, before he can find them, Celia and her group intercept him. Princess Christina, Flora's older sister, misinterprets the situation and accuses Ryo of lying and possibly participating in the kidnapping. Her slap and harsh words sting as Ryo finds himself dragged to the castle for interrogation, despite Flora being unable to clarify in her unconscious state. Back at the crime scene, royal investigators find a lone survivor among the wreckage. Before they can extract any information, a mysterious figure in the crowd crushes a jam, silencing the survivor and shrouding the incident in further mystery. At the castle, Ryo endures brutal interrogations, treated as a criminal instead of a hero. Beaten and on the verge of collapse, he clings to his resolve. When Flora finally awakens, she identifies Ryo as her savior, prompting Celia to rush to his aid. Finding him unconscious and battered, she uses her magic to heal him. When Ryo regains consciousness, he learns of Flora's testimony and the royal family's gratitude. The king, recognizing his bravery, grants him an audience. Moved by his plight, Celia offers to teach Ryo the etiquette needed for the occasion and to guide him as he steps into a world that is far removed from the slums. Ryo begins his journey at the Royal Beltran Academy, a prestigious institution filled with the sons and daughters of nobility. His enrollment, granted as a reward by King Philip, positions him as an anomaly among his aristocratic peers. On his first day, whispers of suspicion ripple through the classroom as he introduces himself. While some students ridicule his presence, Celia Claire, his young mentor, stands by his side, ensuring he is treated fairly. Celia recognizes Ryo's lack of formal education and offers personal tutoring to help him adapt to the academy's rigorous curriculum. After class, Ryo visits Celia's office, a small space crammed with books and papers. Embarrassed by the mess, Celia scrambles to clear a spot for Ryo to sit. Their interaction reveals Celia's astonishing achievements. Though only 12 years old, she has already graduated from the advanced class after skipping several grades. Ryo's respect for her deepens, but he surprises her in return by solving every math problem she gives him with incredible speed and accuracy. Over time, they share a heartfelt conversation. Celia learns more about Ryo, including the struggles he faced growing up in the slums and his unyielding resolve to survive. Touched by his story, Celia provides him with children's books to improve his reading skills. The next day, Ryo participates in a sword training session. His unorthodox fighting style and agility catch the attention of his instructor, who challenges him to a duel. Despite his lack of formal training, Ryo demonstrates exceptional instincts, earning praise from the instructor, who declares that he is well suited to become a knight. However, Ryo politely declines the suggestion, stating that he has no interest in joining the knights. As the final exams approach, Ryo dedicates himself to study, spending hours in the library. On exam day, his sharp intellect is on full display as he confidently completes the test. When the results are announced, the Academy is shocked to learn that Ryo has tied for first place with Princess Christina. The news sparks a wave of disbelief and hostility among the students, with many accusing Ryo of cheating. The noble Allens is particularly vocal, insisting that a commoner could never achieve such results. Amid the uproar, Celia intervenes, defending Ryo and affirming that his accomplishment is a testament to his hard work. Later in Celia's office, Ryo and his mentor discuss the challenges he faces at the Academy. Celia offers words of encouragement, and their conversation turns to Ryo's future. He reveals his desire to journey to the distant Yakumo region, the homeland of his parents. Though Celia is saddened by the thought of his departure, she supports his dream wholeheartedly. 5 years pass in the blink of an eye. The Academy announces an exchange competition with the kingdom's knights, and Ryo is selected as a representative due to his exceptional skills. The day of the competition arrives, and Ryo is pitted against Charles Aurore, a knight with a personal grudge. Years earlier, Charles had harshly interrogated Ryo during the investigation of Princess Flora's kidnapping, and the memory of that humiliation fuels his aggression. Charles fights with a level of intensity unbecoming of a knight, but Ryo remains composed. His agility, quick thinking, and innovative strategies turn the tide of the battle, and he emerges victorious. Despite Charles's protests, the crowd recognizes Ryo's skill, and he earns their respect. That evening, Charles vents his frustrations to the ambassador of the Proisa Empire, lamenting his loss to a student and revealing Ryo's past connection to the Princess Flora kidnapping case. The ambassador begins gathering information on Ryo. Graduation season looms, and Celia reviews her students' essays on their future plans. Among them, Ryo's remains blank, a quiet reflection of his singular focus on reaching the distant Yakumo region, his parents' birthplace. In class, Celia instructs her 5th and 6th graders in glow magic, a spell designed to hone mana control. The nobles in the class mock its simplicity, using it as an excuse to deride Ryo, whom they consider beneath them. When challenged to cast the spell themselves, they fumble, prompting Celia to demonstrate her unparalleled mastery by performing multiple glow spells simultaneously. After class, Stead Huguenot confronts Ryo with unfounded accusations of manipulating female students, spurred by jealousy. Celia swiftly intervenes, admonishing Stead for his baseless claims. Though the situation causes tension, Ryo's reserved demeanor leaves Princess Flora quietly distressed, wishing she could repay the kindness he once showed her. The scene shifts to the Academy's outdoor exercises, designed to test the students' military training. The task involves traversing treacherous mountainous terrain as a team. Despite Ryo's abilities, he is relegated to carrying everyone's belongings by his noble peers, an act of humiliation he endures with quiet dignity. Flora notices the injustice and offers to help, but Ryo declines. As the group traverses the forest, they are ambushed by goblins. The students fight back with magic-enhanced attacks, led by Stead, who arrogantly dismisses the encounter as insignificant. Meanwhile, Ryo's keen senses pick up on a mysterious figure observing them from the shadows. Intrigued by Ryo's potential, the figure decides to test him further. The group reaches what they believe to be a shortcut, only to find themselves at a dead end, a sheer cliff barring their way. Before they can regroup, an orc attacks, throwing them into chaos. Flora is pushed toward the cliff's edge, and without hesitation, Ryo saves her but falls off the cliff in the process. Using his innate spirit magic, Ryo survives the fall, though he still doesn't fully understand the source of his power. Back with the group, Stead seizes the opportunity to blame Ryo, accusing him of causing the chaos. Pressured by the nobles, the group's commander prioritizes Flora's safety over searching for Ryo, despite Flora's protests. Undeterred, Flora vows to save him, but her determination is stifled. The retreat is interrupted by a monstrous creature, far stronger than anything they have encountered. The students' combined magic is ineffective against the creature, leading to further chaos as everyone tries to run away. Just as the creature threatens Flora, Ryo reappears, fighting with extraordinary precision and skill to defeat the monster. With the monster defeated, Ryo has watched the team regroup, but has chosen to quietly leave the academy. A mysterious figure watching from above recognizes Ryo as a descendant of Yakov immigrants and senses the dangerous potential of his growing power. The scene comes to Celia complaining about being too strict at the academy. At the door, she hears that Duke Huger conspires with other nobles to frame Rio as a scapegoat for the orc attack in order to protect his family's influence. Later, Rio secretly visits Celia to say goodbye to her. He reveals his intention to leave the academy for the Yakumo region. Celia, although sad, supports his decision. Rio promises to write to her under the name Haruto, commemorating his past life. While embracing his future as Rio, he disappears into the night. A new threat emerges. Latifa, a skilled assassin, is tasked with eliminating Rio. After 3 days of travel since leaving the royal capital Bertrand, Rio arrives in the vibrant city of Almond, part of the neighboring kingdom of Galore, relieved to find no wanted posters here, unlike the saturated notices back in Bertrand. Rio views the opportunity to gather much-needed supplies. However, as he explores the bustling streets, he feels an eerie sense of being watched. Turning sharply, he finds nothing, but his anxiety lingers. While wandering Amond, Rio encounters a pasta soup, a dish created by Liselot, the governing figure of the city. The nostalgic taste reminds him of home, sparking a thought. Could Liselot also be from his former world? Curiosity leads him to the Lior Company, where noodles are sold. There he meets Liselot herself, disguised as a staff member named Lot. Her warm professionalism and Rio's composed politeness create a brief but notable impression. After completing his purchases, Rio pens another letter to Celia, reassuring her that no news means his safety, before departing Amon to continue his journey. In the wilderness, Rio encounters an orc girl, Latifa, lying motionless in the middle of the road. As he approaches to check on her, she ambushes him, attacking with poison. However, Rio's quick use of magic neutralizes the toxin. Latifa then engages him in a fierce fight. Despite her agility and strength, Rio subdues her and notices her terror and desperation. Using magic, he calms her down and discovers a slave collar controlling her actions. With precise spirit arts, Rio removes the collar, freeing her from its painful grip. While unconscious, Latifa recalls her past life as a human who died in a tragic bus accident before reincarnating as an enslaved orc under the control of the noble Stead. Upon awakening, she is overwhelmed with relief to find the collar removed. Through her fragmented story, Rio pieces together that Stead likely orchestrated her assassination attempt against him. Offering Latifa her freedom, Rio suggests she leave the Straw region where orcs are subjugated and travel east to the undeveloped, territories where humans and beastfolk coexist. But as Rio prepares to part ways, Latifa pleads to accompany him, confessing her fear of being alone. After some hesitation, Rio agrees on the condition that she abandons the collar for good. Latifa is grateful and begins to trust Rio as they journey together. Rio notices Latifa's familiarity with terms like spaghetti. That night, as Latifa sleeps, she mutters about missing her parents in Tokyo. Rio realizes that she is also a reincarnated soul from Earth. Determined to help her heal from her trauma, when Latifa awakens, she notices that Rio resembles her brother who rode the bus with her before reincarnation, and calls Rio brother, a nickname that surprises Rio. Latifa's sharp senses and cautious observations prove invaluable as they navigate the forest towards the undeveloped region. That night, when Latifa is plagued by nightmares, Rio uses his mental arts to soothe her, quietly vowing to protect her. However, after consoling Latifa, a sudden attack blinds Rio, leaving him vulnerable. Surrounded by a group of subhumans, their distrust of humans is palpable. Despite his impairment, Rio uses his spirit arts to sense the group's positions and calmly tries to negotiate. The group's leader, Sarah, hesitantly agrees to a dialogue, though her companions remain wary. As tensions escalate, the group discovers an unconscious Latifa in the tent. They jump to the conclusion that Rio has abducted her, ignoring his protests. Their deep-rooted mistrust of humans boils over, and they attack Rio. Rio tries to explain, while defending himself from their attacks, but he is unable to dodge and is knocked unconscious. In his unconscious state, Rio meets a mysterious spirit who reveals a profound connection to him, even addressing him by his name from his previous life. Before Rio can ask questions, he awakens, finding himself in a modest room within the subhuman village. Arcelo, a senior elf, leads the group to offer Rio a heartfelt apology for their wrongful accusations and hostility. They acknowledge the misunderstanding and thank him for rescuing Latifa from slavery. The next morning, the group escorts Rio and Latifa to their hidden village near the World Tree, a sacred landmark cloaked in an illusion visible only to those skilled in spirit arts. Rio is taken to a grand hall to meet the village elder Dominic and Arcella. The elders express their gratitude to Rio, and Rio requests that they allow Latifa to stay in their village for her safety and well-being. During the meeting, the great spirit Drew, the guardian of the World Tree, makes a sudden appearance. Drew notes the presence of a humanoid spirit residing within Rio, an incredibly rare occurrence. The elders speculate that Rio may have unknowingly formed a contract with one of the legendary spirits of the 6 elements lost in ancient history. This revelation fuels Rio's curiosity about his mysterious powers and origins. The elders unanimously decide to make Rio a saint for their elven tribe and suggest that he stay in the village to learn his supernatural powers and connect with the elven community. After Rio and Latifa settle in their new home, the open air, bath and luxurious house make Latifa ecstatic. During this period, 3 young women from the village, including Sarah, volunteer to live with Rio and Latifa to help them during their stay. During his time in the village, Rio learns advanced spirit arts from Drew and grows closer to the villagers. After living in the village for a year, the festival soon arrives, a celebration of gratitude and reverence for the blessings of the great spirit Drew. However, the peaceful scene transitions to a darker one. Rice, an ambassador from another country, leads a soldier into a cave near the village. Inside, they retrieve a dragon egg, ignoring the potential consequences. As Rice departs, his sinister smile hints at a dangerous scheme. His intentions become clear. The stolen egg will provoke a group of dragons into attacking the elven village, setting the stage for a looming conflict. Rio and Latifa have become beloved members of the village, their contributions celebrated during the Great Fest. At the grand ceremony, Drew blesses Rio as a sworn friend of the elves, and Latifa is officially welcomed as one of their own. At the festival, Sarah and Aurea, tipsy from wine and joy, try to coax Rio into being less formal with them. Latifa playfully intervenes, teasing her new sisters and lightening the mood. Encouraged, Rio admits his desire to deepen his connections. With everyone, the atmosphere is cheerful, but a sense of finality lingers. His time in the village is coming to an end. Later, Rio shares his intention to leave with Arcella, who advises him on how to tell Latifa. Meanwhile, beyond the village's protective barrier, Rice puts his sinister plans into motion. Using the dragon eggs stolen earlier, he manipulates a flock of dragons, luring them toward the village. Taking Latifa on a quiet walk, Rio asks if she enjoys living in the village. Latifa joyfully affirms, expressing her happiness with her new family and her bond with Rio. But her happiness is shattered when Rio reveals his plan to leave. Heartbroken, she begs to accompany him, fearing for her safety. Rio insists she stay, leaving Latifa to run away in tears, unable to cope with the news. As the festival is abruptly canceled due to the approaching dragons, the villagers mobilize to defend their home. Sarah and her team confront the threat in the forest, buying precious time. Meanwhile, Rice orchestrates further chaos, using the distraction to retrieve more eggs. When a soldier carrying an egg is discovered by Sarah's group, he tries to flee. Rice, ever cold and calculating, sacrifices the soldier by destroying his life-bound gem. The egg is left broken on the ground, drawing the wrath of the dragons. Latifa, wandering near the scene, stumbles upon the shattered egg and the fallen soldier. The enraged dragons descend upon her. Alo reaches her first and shields her, but the dragon's fury overwhelms them. As Latifa faces imminent danger, Rio arrives just in time. Using his immense strength and psychic abilities, he turns the tide of the battle, defeating the black dragon leading the charge. With their leader vanquished, the remaining dragons retreat. The villagers, all struck by Rio's heroism, thank him for saving their home. After the battle, Latifa apologizes for her earlier outburst, admitting her fear of abandonment and feelings of inadequacy. Rio reassures her, affirming their bond as siblings and encouraging her to grow stronger. In a tender moment, they reveal their shared secret. Both are reincarnated from Japan. This revelation strengthens their connection, and they promise to meet again someday. The next morning, the villagers gather to bid Rio farewell, presenting him with gifts: a mithril sword, black wyvern armor, and a rare temporal sword chamber to aid his journey. Latifa fearfully vows to wait for his return. As Rio departs, he promises to aid the village if ever needed, solidifying his bond with the elves. At the academy, Celia, tidying her bookshelf, wistfully reflects on how long it has been since she last heard from Rio. Rio reflects on his 2-month journey through the Yakumo region. Despite his determined search, he has uncovered no clues about his parents, Zen and Ami. The dark-haired villagers in the area remind him of his lineage, but his questions remain unanswered. Arriving in a small, serene village, Ryo meets S.E. and Rui, who guide him to the village chief, Yuba. In Yuba's home, Ryo respectfully shares his story and his desire to learn about his parents. Upon hearing his name, Yuba dismisses S.E. and Rui, wishing to speak to Ryo alone. Yuba reveals that she is Zen's mother and Ryo's grandmother, a revelation that leaves Ryo shocked and deeply emotional. He tells Yuba of his wish to build a tomb for his parents in their hometown, honoring their memory.